Okay, good evening. Am I unmuted?
Yep.
Okay. Good evening. Welcome to the Finance Committee meeting. This is May 25th, 2022. Okay, I'm going to read our opening statement. This open meeting of the Town of Auburn Finance Committee is being operated as a hybrid model under Chapter 22 of the Acts of 2022. For the public to join the meeting remotely by telephone, 1-786-535-3211 and access code 991-599-357, or the public can join via computer at global.gotomeeting.com. All supporting materials that have been provided to members of this body are available on the town's website. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda. As a preliminary matter, this is Ann Kavanaugh, Chair of the Committee. Permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda participating remotely are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Kevin Kennedy.
Here.
Ed Coleman.
Yes.
Michael Marshall.
Present.
Patrick Jones.
Here.
Town officials and employees participating, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. CFO Assistant Town Manager Ed Kazanovich.
Here.
And Administrative Assistant Sharon Kwiatkowski.
Here.
Please note that this meeting is being recorded by Auburn Cable Television. Also, please note that each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. The agenda for tonight's meeting includes a review and vote on transfer requests. We're going to vote to authorize the CFO to verbally approve transfers up to $250 to close out the fiscal year, and then we have some minutes, and then we're going to adjourn. So the first transfers we have are from the library. And I see our librarian, Ms. Collins, is here. So the first, let's see. They're going to different accounts. So the first transfer is coming from the Library Associates account, which has a balance of $105,974.87. And it's the amount requested is $510 going to the tech administrator's salary adjustment. And the reason for the transfer is COLA. So, Mr. Kazanovich, do you want to just tell us? I noticed a lot of the transfer this evening are COLA.
So I believe the transfers for the library are. Well, we never did the transfer during the beginning of the fiscal year. We fully intended to do that out of the reserve account, but since there is a substantial balance in the Library Associates, that it would come out of there. So this would also include the evaluation component that's done by the librarian on an annual basis.
Okay, thank you. All right, any questions?
Just a quick question.
Yes, sir.
Could you just explain what that account is? That library, so that's a big amount. Can you just explain what that?
Sure. Those are the library staff is comprised of administrators, and the rest are union staff. So the library associates are the union staff. Because of COVID and rebuilding, not all positions were filled, so there is salary
Excess.
funds excess, yes, left in there.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion to approve. Second.
Okay, all in favor? Oh, excuse me, let me do the roll call. All in favor? Kevin?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. All opposed? Okay, so the next transfer is also from the library, and it's coming from, again, the Library Associates account, which now has a balance of $105,284.87. Amount requested is $510, and that's going to the Circulation and Patron Services Administration line. And again, the reason for the transfer is the COLA. Any questions?
Motion to approve. Second?
Okay, all in favor? Kevin?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. The third transfer from the library is also coming from Library Associates, which now has a balance of $104,774.87. The amount requested is $1,235. It's going to the director's salary adjustment. Reason for transfer is COLA. Any questions?
Motion to approve? Second?
Okay, all in favor, Kevin?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
And chair votes yes. And the last transfer for the library is coming from the Library Associates account again, which now has a balance of $104,574.87. And the amount requested is $1,200 going to the Building and Grounds account, and the reason is for the spring air conditioner maintenance. Any questions?
Motion approved? Second?
Okay, all in favor. Kevin?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Okay, I believe that's it for the library, correct? Thank you, Ms. Collins. Our next transfer is for the Council on Aging. And it's a transfer coming from the van driver's account, which has a balance of $9,615. Excuse me, amount requested $800 going to the minibus gas. And the reason for the transfer is the deficit for the gasoline for the vans. Ms. Kesnovich, do you think this will get them through till June 30th?
So there currently is not a deficit, although we're anticipating the next bill, which has been averaging about $1,500 a month. There's $700 left in the account now. So after discussions with the director, she feels as though $800 is adequate enough to cover the next bill.
Okay.
And we do have a transfer for the general motor vehicle fuel account, which is, we're really getting hammered on that. So
Okay.
yeah, we may have to come back in a June meeting to address that as well.
Okay, thank you. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion to approve? Second?
Okay, all in favor, Kevin?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Okay, the next transfers in our list are for the police department. Okay, Lieutenant Mills, you can come on up and join us, thank you. So we have transfers here. The first one, they're all coming from court time. So Mr. Kesnovich, can we take them together? Can we take them together only if they're going into this?
No, I think because they're all coming out of court, you can take them as one if you get a motion to do so.
So we have 5 transfers coming out of the court time account. Do I hear a motion to take these 5 transfers together?
Motion to take the 5 transfers as one? Second?
Okay, all in favor. Kevin?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. All right, so we'll take these together. The first is coming from the court time line, which has a balance of $9,966.66. My requested $722.69 going to clothing and uniforms to correct deficit and line item due to contractual obligation. Any questions? The next transfer also coming from court time, which now has a balance of $9,243.97. Amount requested $1,302 going to health and wellness. And the reason is that this is to correct the deficit in the line item pre-employment processes. Okay. Any questions? Our next transfer is coming from court time, which now has a balance of $7,941.97. Amount requested is $550, going to the firearms stipend account. and this is to correct the deficit in line item due to contractual obligation. Okay. Any questions? No? All right. Next, coming from court time, next transfer has a balance court time now of $7,391.97. Amount requested $200 going to miscellaneous supplies to correct the deficit in this line item. And our last transfer is coming from court time, now has a balance of $7,191.97. Amount requested $260.37 going to the buildings and grounds repair, and that's also to correct the deficit in this line item. Any questions?
Motion to approve. Second.
Okay, all in favor? Kevin?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
And chair votes yes. All right, the next transfer is also the police department. This is a request that's coming, so the money comes from the salary reserve account to go to the police overtime account. Amount requested $35,000. Present balance in the police overtime account is $17,037.63. And this is to cover anticipated overtime expense through June 30th, 2022. Do you want to tell us about this, Lieutenant Mills?
Well, the month of May contains several special events, the elections being the most recent, and it was 40 hours of overtime expended only just in the elections alone. The amount that we requested honestly does not account for the fireworks, which are slated to go on the 30th of June, because at this time we don't know who will be working them and what the rates of pay will be, so we can't, I have a general estimate, but we're not able to pinpoint that till we know exactly who's going to be working that particular night when the schedules actually come out. If it was to end up on the rain date, then we'd be in excellent shape, but for now.
Madam Chair, if I could add to that.
Yes.
I think a number of factors that are really driving the expense and the need for this transfer is resulting from a number of COVID cases that were experienced within the police department that forced people on to cover those shifts.
We have 3 officers out currently, 1 on COVID, 2 with kind of long-term injuries that were...
Additionally, we had some dispatchers that we needed to fill shifts because we didn't have enough employees that were driving an overtime need. I think that's still a concern right now. I think they're trying to fill those positions. But all of these factors are coming into play with respect to the shortage that we're experiencing this year.
So there are some dispatcher openings?
There were, at one point, we were averaging almost 80 hours a week because we're down, it's a staff of 9 and we were down 2 full-time employees.
That makes sense. And Ms. Kasnovich, is there any way that any of the ARPA money can be used to go into this account because of the police were out because of COVID?
So I think we filled a portion of that need through the CARES money. The ARPA money, although it really doesn't qualify for this type of expense.
All right, but we still had CARES money to use for this?
No, CARES money is now dried up. But,
Okay. All right, thank you. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Just a quick one, and this is more just an accounting. Do we ever, Lieutenant mentioned a couple special events that for overtime, but does that make the police department overtime number, when you look at their annual, look high when in essence it's really a cost that goes to parks to support fireworks or the clerk's office to support elections? Do we track that? So it almost makes their number look inflated, like they're spending more overtime when it's really a cost that in my mind would be associated with those other departments to say this is, we spend X number of dollars in police monies to support these events that we put on.
Well, we could carve that out. It really is a police expense because they're covering overtime need to support that event. But I suppose we can track that and give you a value for that. The problem here is they're taking a double hit in FY22 because the 4th of July celebration
Right.
was at the beginning of the fiscal year.
Right.
And now it's taking place on June 30th, so they're picking up a double expense.
Well, actually, that leads my question. Are you done?
Yes.
My question would have been, if it pours on June 30th, and then we do it on July 2nd, do we PO and encumber the money as if it were a true expense? Or
No.
what happens, it becomes a double expense next year when there's only one expense for this year?
Well, it all depends, because
Right.
at the beginning of the fiscal year, we don't know when the 4th of July celebration is going to take place.
Don't have one.
And we haven't had one for a couple of years. Yeah, that's an issue, but.
So right now, you anticipate it being on the last day of the fiscal year, and it's going to get paid out against this fiscal year,
Yes.
so you're planning for that.
Right.
But I believe, did you say, Lieutenant Mills, that the overtime for the fireworks is not included here?
It is not.
Okay, so,
I'm sorry to interrupt you. In furtherance of what Mr.
Yeah.
Casanova said, we're looking at, or I've been trying to break down the overtime more specifically into, special events and, where the actual cost is being derived from. Is it more for replacing shift coverage? Is it for special events? Is it more from the dispatch center? Just percentage-wise or proportionally where it's coming from.
Yep.
So I can better track what we're
Yeah.
doing.
okay. All right,
So we do have some funds in the 4th of July account, although that has historically been used for Atlas for the actual fireworks.
right.
We'll examine that balance and see if we can absorb some of the overtime, what it does to that account. But I think we may have to come back in June and make an additional request, and it all depends on how much overtime is utilized between now and June 30th that's non-special events related.
Yep.
And we're putting a number on that based upon the actuals that we spent last year.
Couple of years, yeah.
Okay.
We've been to 9 days off, and unfortunately what then happens is sometimes those get converted to sick days because people still need their time or they're gonna take their time. But we're doing everything we can to minimize it and keep it under control.
Okay. Yep, any other questions?
Well, I'm just curious, because he brought up dispatch and utilizing, when they go into a dispatch role, they're really supporting at their own capability, so there isn't a differential. They don't get paid a different rate being on the dispatch than they would doing the regular officer duties.
Our dispatchers are civilian, they're all civilian dispatchers, and
Okay.
they have their own union.
Contract.
Yeah,
Yeah,
contract
okay.
and everything, so they're paid at a different rate, but unfortunately, we were replacing approximately 80 hours a week for a fair amount of time.
Okay.
And Lieutenant, currently that's just, I'm trying to think back to what your budget looks like, it just shows police overtime. And that's,
It's been $250,000 for several years, and obviously with, contractual obligations going up and different things, but yeah, it's not broken out,
Breaks out
it's
the
just
overtime.
all the overtime, anything beyond what's absorbed by the grant for the dispatch center at least. Once that is expired, then they go into our
Right.
overtime.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there is a 911 support grant, there's a 911 training grant. I think the support grant is about 45,000, so that's primarily used for overtime. So when they go through that grant, then they revert to the overtime account within the police department budget.
And we've explored other options, or we're in the beginning stages of exploring other options for, how to mitigate that going forward too. With like some impact shifts possibly, and for the dispatchers at least. So we can kind of lower that as well.
Okay. Any other questions?
motion to approve?
Second?
Okay, so, let's do a roll call. All in favor, Kevin?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Okay. And, that's it. All right, thank you, Lieutenant. Thank you. All right, our next transfer, the next 4 transfers are from the DDIS Planning Department. And I see we have Darlene Coyle on participating remotely. Hello. So let's read these together. Read these out. The first transfer is coming from the education account. which has a balance of $700, and the amount requested is $670, and that's going to legal notices, and that's to cover ads. Any questions?
Motion to approve. Second.
Okay, all in favor? Kevin?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. The next transfer is under
Thank you.
DDI planning.
Can I make a motion to take the next four as one?
They are, oh, okay. Say that again, please.
A motion to take the next four transfers as one.
Because they're all coming from the
From the
same
same,
account.
Account, right, clerical.
There's two ones.
Two on one page.
Okay.
Do I hear a second? Okay, all in favor? Kevin?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. So, let's see, they're all coming from the clerical shared account. Now, the first transfer in that account, we have a clerical shared, has a balance of $3,892.57. Amount requested $670 going to the planner's salary. And this is funding to cover 1% salary increase in performance evaluation. The next transfer is also coming from clerical shared, which now has a balance, of $3,892.57 going to the animal control officer salary. That's $654 going to animal control officer salary. And the reason is funding to cover 1% salary increase performance evaluation. The third transfer is also coming from the clerical shared account. The amount requested $860, and it's going to the sanitation salary, and it's funding to cover 1% salary increase in performance evaluation. And the fourth and last transfer coming from clerical shared account, amount requested $630 going to the assistant health director salary. It's the funding to cover 1% salary increase in performance evaluation. Okay. I guess I have a question. Do we seem to have a good sized balance left in the clerical shared account?
Madam Chair, we've had a...
Yes.
Oh, Mrs. Kesenovich, you want to explain?
I think Darlene was going to tell you that we've had a vacancy within the department for a period of time that resulted in a surplus
Oh, okay.
in a clerical position.
All right, thank you, Darlene. So, it looks like it's about two...
Thank you, Ed. Yes, we are, yes, we're advertising for the position. We're hoping to get that filled again, which is why we have the surplus in there.
Okay, looks like $2,814 altogether coming from that account, and those are all going to cover 1% salary increases in performance evaluations. Any questions?
Motion to approve. Second.
All in favor? Kevin?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. The next transfer is also the
Thank you.
DDIS. It's under the economic development area. The name of the account that the money is coming from is Economic Development Coordinator salary, which has a present balance of $10,475.37. The amount requested is $10,350 going to the Board of Health Inspector salary, and this is funding to cover salary raise increase. Do I hear a motion?
Can we just get an explanation on that increase?
So we had an inspector who had an opportunity to leave for another Central Mass community. I don't know which one it was. This was actually before the budget was formulated in FY22. So it happened last fiscal year, and in order to retain that individual in the midst of COVID, we offered an increase in salary that actually was below what she was offered in the other community, but she loves to work here in Auburn. We think the world of this individual. had discussions with the department head, who thought that it was well worth the offer, and so he decided to wait to bring this transfer, thinking that we may be able to accumulate some surplus savings within the department.
Okay.
Is, just in further, is that salary in line with, I'm trying to think of the terminology you've done a couple years ago when you,
The salary study?
yes, sir.
I believe it is. Do you recall that, Darlene? I think it's more in line with the median average of inspectors. And I'm going to be honest with you. This is one of our fears. You know, we train our inspectors. We put a lot of professional development into our inspectors. And other communities are seeking the individuals that we've already trained. So we've made some adjustments to our inspector salaries in FY23 that we talked about during the budget process. So hopefully we can remain competitive with those other communities.
Okay, good.
Is that fair to say, Darlene?
Yes, thank you, Ed. Yeah, that is fair to say, and I'm thrilled that we could actually keep this individual. We put a lot of training, you know, into her and the department. And quite honestly, we are trying to, you know, get the salaries in line. In the past several years with COVID, a lot of the health salaries, quite honestly, are still on the lower side. And we're trying to keep the department whole because we feel that we have a lot of experience here, and it's a good thing to be able to retain good employees.
So, Madam Chair, just to let you know that the FY23 budget does reflect this increase, because I know that is of some concern. And we were able to realize a surplus in the Economic Development Coordinator's position for Shannon Regan, now Richards, because she got married, who left to take another job, and the position was vacant for a period of time. Now filled by Brooke. That is a realized savings.
Okay, thank you.
Just one further, so I mean, I certainly support, when we talked about ensuring that the town employees, especially, you know, in specialized divisions like, you know, inspections, are paid the salary they should be, so we're not losing these talented folks. But do we look at salaries as a whole to make sure that these folks get up? Otherwise, my fear is on these one-by-one cases is, you know, now you have this person apply for a higher position, so we, you know, they're an outstanding employee, we want to retain them, and we have to bump them up, and you kind of play this ping pong game of trying to keep folks,
right,
the good folks here.
Well, I can tell you in the municipal world, this is changing from day to day, especially during COVID. These positions are really in high demand, and they're paying crazy money for these positions. So it's something that we watch, we continue to monitor. We made some adjustments in the FY23 budget to try to keep pace with these other communities that are offering a higher wage. And I think you'll see that in the FY23 budget. They're not huge increases, but at least it's making a commitment and movement towards a competitive wage.
Thank you.
Okay, do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, Kevin?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Okay. The next...
Thank you.
You're welcome. The next two transfers are, the next four transfers are in the DDIS ZBA, Zoning Board of Appeal account, and they're all coming from the same account, the Administrative Assistant account.
A motion to take as one, all four transfers as one vote?
Second?
Okay, all in favor. Kevin?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. All right, so let's see. First, coming from the Administrative Assistant, which has a present balance of $3,895.55. Amount requested $430 to go to the Solid Waste Coordinator salary, and this is funding to cover the 1% salary increase performance evaluation. The next transfer is coming from the administrative assistant account, amount requested $50, and that goes to the solid waste billing tech account. And it's funding to cover the 1% salary increase in the performance evaluation. The third transfer is coming also from administrative assistant line, amount requested $2,610, goes to the building commissioner salary, and that's to cover the 1% salary increase performance evaluation. And the last transfer coming from the administrative assistant account is $630, and that's going to the building inspector salary, and it's funding to cover the 1% salary increase performance evaluation. Do we have any questions about these?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Questions? No? All right, all in favor? Kevin?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. And Michael?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Thank you. All right, our next transfer,
Thank you.
the last one for DDIS. This is DDIS conservation, and the transfer, first transfer is coming, well, it doesn't matter if we take them separately or together because it's still going to be 2 votes. So the first is coming from the clerical payroll. Amount requested $800, and it's going to the building miscellaneous supplies. This is technical support needed for People GIS system updates. Any questions?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Ms. Coyle, what is a People GIS system? I know what a GIS is, but
Sure. So the town has People GIS, which is a software application, and we have two software types in DDIS. So we have it under the building department. You may know it as online permitting. We're able to take care of all of the permitting online, and people can apply that way, completely paperless. We've had that in place for the past couple of years to maximize efficiency and being available to the public 24/7. And then the second one is through animal control. It's actually joint with the town clerk's office, and that program is for the dog licensing. So you can actually license your dog online. So both of these transfer requests there's several updates that are needed, and those updates require technical support from the company called People GIS. The town uses People GIS in many other departments, so we have a lot of unity to keep all the departments connected, but that's these 2 specific requests for DDIS.
okay, thank you. Any questions?
It was a motion.
Okay, so the motion has been made and seconded. So all in favor, Kevin?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. And the second transfer, also coming from clerical payroll account, amount requested $1,000, going to the animal control officer supply line, and this is technical support needed for People GIS system updates.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, Kevin?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. I think that's it, Darlene. Thank you for joining us tonight, Mrs. Coyle. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your support. Have a good night.
You too. All right, the next 2 transfers are for the fire department. Okay, I see Chief Coleman and Deputy Chief Johnson are here.
I only have one.
It says Norfolk Agricultural, but it's going to firefighters.
Gotcha, thank you.
Okay.
And actually the veteran.
And the veterans is going firefighters.
Oh, the veterans
And then
too.
another one.
Oh, another Norfolk.
I believe I.
Oh,
They're
we
just
have
taking money from
several
everybody.
here. Okay. We have several.
Huh.
Just hiding them in different accounts.
Yeah. No, being thrifty at the end of the year. That's it. Being thrifty. This is good. All right. So the first transfer we have is in the fire department. The money is coming from the clothing account. Present balance $1,797.29, The entire amount is going to building maintenance. And the reason for the transfer is insufficient funds. Do you want to tell us about that,
Sure. Good
Deputy
evening.
Chief? Good evening.
Yes, we had, currently our line item is 0 in that account, and we had some bay heaters that stopped working. They needed some servicing, and that money put us down to 0. We just want to be able to make it through the end of the year.
Okay.
Just a quick question. So I take it there's no more uniform expense for the rest of the month?
Correct. We have, all the clothing allowance has to be spent for us by May 20th.
Oh, by May 20th.
So
okay.
everybody's already been accounted, and any leftover money has been swept over, and now that's where this
Great.
is going.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Kevin?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
And chair votes yes. Okay, so the next transfer, the amount request is coming from Norfolk Agricultural, the tuition and transportation assessment. The balance in that account is $22,024.76, and the amount requested, $10,094, is going to go to the firefighters line, and this is to cover cost of resignation accrued buyouts, 3, and federal share of Safer Grant discounted 2 times. So you want to tell us about that too? Thank you.
Sure.
Yes.
Currently, our firefighter salary account is in the red, and that is due to multiple factors. At this time, we have 3 employees that have left. We had to pay their buyouts. We also had multiple people on IOD, and when they're on IOD, the way they get paid, it messes with our salary lines. And then on top of it, the Safer Grant, which we currently have, switched in December. It went from where the town was paying 25%, we're now paying 65%. That wasn't taken into account in the budget, and then the federal share was actually counted twice in that, and therefore that made a reduction in our salary. We were short to begin with.
Okay.
So you'll see an additional transfer to that same line item for that.
Okay.
I do believe also we're going to end up, even with this transfer, we're going to still be a little bit short. We had an employee give their notice yesterday, and we're going to have to pay her out when she leaves in the next couple weeks. So that's going to put us back in the red.
So actually, on an expense versus appropriation, it's truly not in the red yet, although
Yep.
when you consider the encumbrances or the commitments to get you through June 30th, it's in the red.
Gotcha. That seems an unusually large number of
I would agree.
people to resign. Is there a reason?
They have opportunities elsewhere to go make some more money, have larger staff departments to handle similar amount of calls.
Okay. So they're still staying in the firefighting field?
Yes,
just going
they
to
are.
a different community?
Yes.
Or different, okay, thank you. All right, questions?
Sure. Question relative to the buyout, you got a contractual obligation, and are these long-term employees that had significant vacation time? Is that what the
It's
buyout is?
contractual. They'd have to pay it out, yes. And during COVID, they were not allowed to use their time, and their time was banked. Some of it was banked, and therefore they have to be paid out that time upon separation.
So that accounts for why they have a bigger,
Correct.
not,
It's a
they're
larger.
not 30-year employees that had
It's a
30 years of
larger-
vacation time. These are shorter-term employees, but because they weren't able to use it during the COVID period, they were able to accrue more time than would be a normal.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, Kevin?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. The next transfer is now coming from the Veterans line, Relief and Medical. That present balance is $105,141.74. Amount requested $90,000, and that's going to the firefighter line to cover cost of resignation, accrued buyouts, 3, and federal share of Safer Grant discounted twice. Any questions?
Just quickly, so we're just over $100,000 for the 3 buyouts, and we're potentially gonna have a 4th one coming back later, so
Yes,
essentially
it's the
another
buy,
30. 30,000, is that what, am I just doing rough math?
No, the next one will probably be short about 10 or 12,000 is what we'll end up being. This literally is a multitude of things between the buyouts, the SAFER grant counted twice, that was a bigger,
Okay.
that took a bigger chunk.
So these have the bigger numbers because of the SAFER.
Yes.
When we see the fourth resignation
The
buyout.
buyouts are not 30,000 or anything near
I
that.
think the value of the 3 buyouts was collectively just a little over $20,000.
Okay. So is
Yeah.
this calculation?
So the bulk of this is a result of the federal share of the SAFER grant.
Okay, thank you.
Can I ask, is that all, is the fiscal 2024 budget adjusted, well, fiscal 2023, so that won't happen again?
So
Yeah.
We were looking at that because in December, at the end of December, I think December 28th, the grant stops and then we fully own the employees at that point. So I know we were going back and looking at that budget.
So as a result of this, we asked the fire department to do a review of the FY23 just to make sure that we're not going to face a similar situation.
Yeah.
If so, it's something we need to address earlier than later.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any other questions?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Kevin?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
And chair votes yes. The third transfer is coming from Norfolk Agricultural Tuition Transportation Investment. That line now has a balance of $11,930.76, and the entire amount is requested to go to fire overtime to cover anticipated overtime costs through June 30th, 2022. Yes, sir.
Given what we've just learned is that, and knowing that you're exhausting this account, do you see that it's not enough? Or given what the policeman just came for overtime?
Sure, yeah, I can speak on that. You actually have an additional transfer for overtime in there as well.
Oh, okay.
And even after that, it still will be short. We have not calculated in the fireworks as well, just like the police. But on top of that, we've been getting hit hard with COVID lately, especially these past few months. I currently have 2 out on COVID this week. I had 4 the week before, I believe 5 before. And what's happening is, because of that, we have it drives up some overtime, but we also have people that can't work the overtime because of COVID or they were sick, and we have a limited pool. And when we don't have enough people to work the overtime, people get forced on, and when they get forced on, they get paid a different rate. It's higher, and that kind of really eats up the overtime quickly. On top of it, we had, throughout the year, we also had long-term injury leaves. We have currently everybody back except for one person, and one person, he's not expected back until 2023. And then with the resignations of different people, that has created additional overtime, and with this new resignation, I will now have overtime every day through June, pretty much. So that is driving up a factor, and I do not believe this will be enough money. I anticipate probably potentially an additional 20,000.
Okay.
Question,
Sure.
So what type of approaches do you see yourself taking in terms of maybe adjusting staffing levels, and how quickly can you advertise, and what's the market look like? We just heard from DIS that it's, there's a limited pool of candidates out there. These folks are leaving for bigger departments, but we're not the smallest fish in the bowl either.
Correct.
What are our chances that we can do the same? And
We actually have interviews on Friday.
Okay.
For to try to fill that vacancy that's coming up. That employee, she's leaving on June 6th, so.
have we already filled the other 3? I'm sorry.
The other 3 have been filled.
They have, thank you.
Yes, they've been filled. But to be honest, COVID's really hitting us hard, because I lose an employee for at least 5 days every time they test positive.
Is the testing a mandatory thing, or is it more of a random?
It's not mandatory, but they're told if they don't feel well to test.
Okay.
And we've had obviously people that don't feel well who stayed home and then not had COVID, but thought they may have because it's been going around the station. So it's really been one of those factors. And we've had the people that have gone somewhere, tested when they came back, thinking they were fine, but just testing out of safety, and then they find out that they're positive.
Okay. Questions? Any other questions?
I had a question.
Oh,
sorry,
wait a
Michael.
minute. Michael, go ahead.
Sorry. Is it, and this is maybe a question for Ed more. Is there a possibility of taking any of these monies out of the retained earnings from the ambulance fund?
That was for you.
Yeah, is there any possibility of taking some of these monies out of the retained earnings for the ambulance fund?
No. Ambulance
All right.
fund is not an enterprise account. It's a special revenue account, which would require a vote of town meeting.
All right.
Well, then with that said, well, it would be too late to wait till September. Can we replenish it? Can we get it back in September?
So I don't believe that, I certainly, there is a portion of that expenses that is ambulance related. I think that's something we can have discussions with both the chief and the deputy, in terms of a recapture of some of that cost. But that's something that would be an offset in the subsequent year's budget and not in FY22.
Right. Because.
And I don't want to make that a practice, quite honestly,
Right.
because that creates a slippery slope, and creates a dependency on those funds for future years' expenditures as well, so.
Yeah, we use all the ambulance receipts to pay for all the ambulance costs anyway, so it goes to that department. So it's not like it's not being sent to another department per se.
Madam Chair.
Yes, sir.
Those are great comments, and I just want to say that that's a very slippery slope, because close to 100% of our ambulance receipts are utilized through not only the operating budget with the funding of 12 positions, which are known salaries. It also funds 100% of our capital, and it funds several line items within the operating budget, which are also known expenses. I think it's a very dangerous practice and a slippery slope that if we start utilizing ambulance receipts for unknown operational expenses, we're really pushing close to a margin that we're gonna slip over at some point.
Madam Chair, if I will, and I totally respect that observation. I couldn't agree with it more, but I think in the last couple of years, we have seen unprecedented situations that are maximizing not only this town's budget, but so many federal, state. And so if there was an opportunity where there was a window of just a one-time or a two-time, not to set precedents, but to, I don't think we're going to be talking about COVID 5 years from now. I hope we're not, because it's going to be insane if we are. But to that point, my reason for agreeing with Michael or considering it wasn't to set precedents, but to take again and capture a moment in time when you've got certain funds here that are in excess and you're draining others here. So it was just more not to set precedent, but just so I'm clear that sometimes as a board or as an individual that is being tapped into, I try to use my skill set to think, well, we really should think of what's available in the moment, because sometimes that's the way financial decisions are made. Not necessarily to set precedent, but to fix something in the moment and then let it go.
Right. Yeah.
And that's that. I wanted you to understand that that's where I was coming from.
Nope. Absolutely. Point taken. And as much like the I prematurely calling him the deputy, but much like the lieutenant had said earlier. I think one of the things we need to look at in future years is the level funding of overtime as contractual obligations are settled, salaries go up, which means overtime goes up. The overtime budgets necessarily don't reflect that. So when you look at the overtime budgets, over a period of years.
Right, and like you pointed out.
And it's all a balance.
Yeah, like
it's
you
a
said, he
balance,
pointed
but-
out that not only is he down now, but he's having to force people to sit in, which is even a bigger expense, which you
Correct.
don't want to be there, and if you are, that's just an unfortunate place.
Yes.
We've hit more all calls because we've been busy with multiple calls going on at the same time, and we have to hit that and bring people back from home.
Right, as soon as you said forced overtime, I went,
Yeah.
yikes.
Yeah.
So no,
Even-
that was not a
And I
good.
think there's clear recognition, I think everyone at the table realizes that COVID has really put a strain on the operational side of the budget, in many areas.
Right.
And, whether this is gonna continue or not, and if it does, we have to be prepared to fund these accounts adequately to provide for this additional expense. Whether it be temporary or not, that's something we have to examine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Mr. Kesnovich, again, is there any anticipation of any federal funds that could come out to help cover some of these personnel costs, where people have been out due to COVID?
Not that I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Certainly, I think there are funds through ARPA that are strictly capital driven,
Okay,
not operational offset, so.
okay. And my other question was just, how come we ended up with so much money in the Norfolk Agricultural?
So, I believe when the budget was put together, we got notification from the school department that we had one student
Yeah.
who was enrolled and another student that applied, so we provided for two.
Okay,
And I think at the last minute, the other student decided to go to a different district.
okay, gotcha, all right. So we've got, do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion to approve on the, yeah.
Second.
Second, okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, Kevin?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Okay, so the next transfer is that it for the police? I mean, that's-
Fine, fine. We have one more. There's the
Oh, I'm sorry.
46,000.
I beg your pardon. All right, here we go. This is coming from the interest account, coming from the general obligation bond interest 5.9 million. That has a present balance of $46,621.66. That entire amount is going to the fire overtime to cover existing and projected fiscal 2022 deficit.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, Kevin?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
And chair votes yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you, Chief.
You're welcome.
Keep your fingers crossed.
Yeah,
Have a good June.
yeah,
We'll see you later.
okay. So now,
No COVID in June, right?
no COVID, yeah. Now we have a whole bunch of transfers from the DPW department, and Joanna Paquin is here. How are you? Good. Nice to see you. All right, so the first, the first three transfers I see are all going, it's for DPW highway, and they're all going into the same account, the clerical account. Mr. Casanova, can we take these together?
Yes, they're all going into the same account.
Do I hear a motion to take these three transfers together?
Motion to take all three as one vote, please.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, Kevin?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. All right, the first one is coming from the Assistant DPW Director line, which has a balance of $1,635.55. The amount requested is $862.14, and that's going to the clerical line. This deficit is due to part-time position turning into full-time. Any questions? Okay. The next transfer is coming from the advertising line, which has a balance of $900. The amount requested is $407.70 going to the clerical line, and the deficit due to part-time position turning into full-time. And the third transfer is coming from the line painting services, which has a balance of $6,100, and that's going to the, amount requested is $2,301.02 going to the clerical line. Again, deficit due to part-time position turning into full-time. Any questions?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, Kevin?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Okay. So the next transfers are, let us see here. We have,
Going into the same account.
yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 transfers all going into the overtime account. Do I hear a motion to take these 7 transfers together?
Yes, motion to make all 7 as one vote, please.
Second?
Okay, all in favor. Kevin?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
And chair votes yes. So the first transfer coming from the plow blades line, which has a balance of $8,123.91. That entire amount is going to the overtime line, and this transfer will reduce the winter deficit. Okay, so are these all for snow and, all right.
So, Madam Chair, if I could just
Yeah.
make a couple of comments.
Yep,
So this basically, these transfers are moving money around within snow and ice to offset some line item deficits.
Yep.
It's not shrinking the deficit, okay? I think given the challenges that we're all facing due to the current economics, and I think you're seeing it tonight, a lot of transfers that typically we do not ask for are being generated as a result of high inflation.
Yep.
Motor vehicle fuel, some of the utility costs. And I can't tell you what the level of transfers are gonna be needed to get us through June 30th. These are the most challenging times that I've ever been involved in. And so we're not addressing the snow and ice deficit at this point in time because we may need those reserve fund balances to cover other costs.
Yep.
We're allowed to raise through the recap sheet snow and ice deficits without washing it out during the fiscal year.
Right.
So we're kind of cleaning it up, but if we do have surplus funds at year end, we'll address the snow and ice deficit at that time.
Okay, thank you. What is the snow and ice deficit approximately?
I think it's about 148,000 bottom line. And I'll verify that in a minute or two.
Okay, that's fine, thank you. All right, so this, that transfer is coming from plow blades going overtime. The next transfer is coming from the damaged personal property line. Amount requested $500, and that was the balance in the account, and that's going to the overtime account. Okay, and this is all in the DPW Highway Department. The third transfer is coming from part-time wages, which has a balance of $1,096.96. That entire amount is going into the overtime account. For the same reason, to reduce the winter deficit. Coming from the equipment rental line, the entire balance, $12,605, is going to the overtime to reduce the winter deficit. Coming from the sand account, $5,000, the entire balance is going to the overtime account. The storm meals account, $640.30, that's all going to the overtime account. And storm tree removal, balance is $1,000, and all that entire amount is going to the overtime account. Okay, so that's 6 of them. Any questions?
Madam Chair, before you take the vote, just
Yep.
want to give you an update. So
Sure.
I said 148, that is correct, but that does not include the wage portion of snow and ice, which has a negative balance of 40,000. So combined, it's about $188,000.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, so all in favor, Kevin,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. So the next transfer is under the DPW Highway. The amount is coming from advertising, which has a balance of $900, and $450 is going to the building maintenance line. Okay, and the reason for the transfer is 3 months of rodent control inside and outside the DPW. All right.
You have pets down there, Joanna?
Oh.
They might become pets.
Did you say pets? Pets or
He said
pests?
that's, he said the S after the T.
I think you need a cat or two. Yeah.
We have allergies there, so.
Oh, okay, all right, yeah. All right. Any questions?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, all in favor. Kevin?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. The next transfer is under DPW Highway Department. The amount is the requested money is coming from the Recreation Director account. Present balance $10,545.71. Amount request is $2,000, and that's going to wages full-time to help eliminate the deficit. Any questions?
Just next year's budget's probably in good order. It's just this is fixing this year's.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Kevin?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. The next transfer is coming from the fuel line. $4,000. The entire balance is going to the overtime line. And the reason is the DPW can continue to fill potholes, pick up deceased animals, etc.
Just a question on that. Fuel as opposed to gas, are they different accounts or why the fuel account?
This is building fuel account.
Building fuel,
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
Any questions?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, so all in favor, Kevin?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. And the next transfer is under the DPW Highway Department. The amount requested is coming from the Assistant DPW Director. The present balance in the account, $1,635.55. And is that $773.41? Okay.
Yes.
All right, and that's going to the Highway Superintendent line. This transfer will eliminate the deficit due to an increase in July. So this was a COLA increase last July?
Performance evaluation.
Performance evaluation increase last July. Any questions?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, Kevin?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. And next is cemetery. Okay, and the transfer is coming from the dues and publication line, which has a balance of $620. And that entire amount is going to the gas line, and that's to offset increased cost in motor vehicle fuel.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, Kevin?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Okay, the next transfer is in the recreation line, coming from the salary line, which has a balance of $10,545.77. $7,000 is going to the motor vehicle repair line to cover the cost of repairs to fire and DPW vehicles. Any questions?
Just, are there any specifics? Are these specific vehicles? Are these the bigger vehicles that have to go out, or anything specific other than?
We looked at what needs to be done currently and what we need to kind of get us to the end of the year. And I know that we've been before you for previous transfers, so just wanted to kind of make sure that we didn't go over what we needed, but to cover the repairs that we were aware of.
Okay, it just it was specific to fire and DPW vehicles. I didn't know if it was.
Yeah, actually, we had a meeting a week or two ago with Fleet. Asked Kenny to put a list together of the vehicles that are currently not repaired. It did include police vehicles, but we had some money in insurance reimbursement that we didn't use to cover the repair of several vehicles due to accidents. So we're tapping that to take care of our police fleet, which was about $5,000. Fire is about $5,000. Annual inspections on certain vehicles, and there were a few DPW vehicles. So we're hoping this will be adequate enough to get us through June 30th. And then we'll have a new appropriation beginning July 1.
And I know the fire department's left, but was it 2 years ago that we had that huge expense due to an inspection with one of the fire trucks?
We had the rails on engine 1, I think it was about $150,000.
And those are all everything, as far as we can tell, inspection-wise, we don't foresee anything.
Engine 1 is recently out due to some mechanical failure. They don't know if they're going to make the repairs to that or whether they're going to take it out of service. But
those are expensive rails. Should we try and get a little longer? Thank you.
All right, do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Kevin?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Okay, the next transfer is under the Parks Department. Transfers coming from Labor Parks line. Excuse me, the current balance in the account is $6,691.68. Amount requested $5,000 to go to the overtime account, and this is to cover existing and projected fiscal year 2022 deficit. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Kevin?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. So we've got some transfers now for the DPW, one page for the DPW sewer division. The transfer is coming from the wages line, which has a balance of $40,596.81. Amount requested is $7,500 going to contract services to cover cost of sewer system fixed asset study and the Oxford, Mass. Rate update.
Quick question on that.
Yeah.
Just relative to that Oxford, the rate study, is this wrapping that up? Is this the beginning? Where are we with that study, and when do we anticipate?
So this is basically for the consultant to take a look at any way to streamline the process and make that and determine the rates that we would be setting for Oxford. But we're pretty much at the beginning.
We're at the beginning. Any idea how long a study takes and when we'd be going to Oxford to try and
I'm
have
hoping.
conversations about those rates?
I don't think that it's going to take too long because it's the same company that had done the original evaluation. So they're familiar with the system. They've already looked at our assets last year. So I'm hoping it's not going to be a very heavy lift.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Any other questions?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Kevin?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Next transfers are Packagug Golf Course. Let me take any of these together.
The first two,
Yeah, but we have to have two votes anyway if we do that, so we might as well just
yeah.
take them separately.
Those last four.
The last three, four, the last four.
The last four, okay.
So we'll do the first two separate and then,
Yes.
yeah.
Let's do the first two. The first one is coming from the contingency account, which has a balance of $5,010.45. Amount requested $677.54. That's going to the superintendent line to cover deficit from July increase. Is that the performance evaluation increase?
Correct. Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor? Kevin?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
And chair votes yes. The next transfer, also coming from the contingency account, amount requested $508.04 going to the groundskeeper, and that's to cover a deficit from the July increase, performance evaluation increase.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Kevin?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. The next four
Madam Chair, motion to take items 3, 4, 5 and the next page is one vote.
Second?
Okay, all in favor? Kevin?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Okay, so all these transfers are coming from the equipment line. We're still under Packagug Golf Course Department. That balance is $38,641.57. The amount requested is $21,000, and that goes to the seasonal golf line. This is to cover part-time wages for the rest of the fiscal year. The next,
Just a question.
yes, sir.
Just why such a large number as a a transfer? What was missing in the budgeted for that?
Sure, so we had our rec and culture director that worked for the golf course, and she now has transitioned to part rec and part senior center, so she's no longer involved in the
So
golf
this is to
course.
fill Kristen's void, this is salary cover for what Kristen's duties were? Okay.
So those expected hours that she would be she should be expected to be at the register. To cover that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. The next transfer is also coming from the equipment line. My request is $700 to go to the banking charges and expenses line. This is to cover banking charges. Okay, the next transfer coming from the equipment line is $300 to go to building maintenance to cover pest control services.
More pets?
More pets?
More pets all the time.
You know the cat, that's it, all right. And the fourth transfer coming from the equipment line is $3,500 going to golf course maintenance to purchase sand and landscaping supplies for the golf course. Any questions?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, so all in favor? Kevin?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, thanks for waiting.
Thank you for your patience.
So, let's see, we still have some transfers, but not for DPW, bye. Let's see, this is an interdepartmental transfer from the town manager account. We're transferring money from the TCMA annual conference line, which has a present balance of $1,000. That entire amount is going to the advertising line to offset additional costs for advertising. Any questions?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, Kevin?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
And chair votes yes. The next transfer is under the assessor's office. The transfer is coming from the clerical line, which has a balance of $4,051.01. The amount requested $1,879.11 going to the manager's salary. Provide for compensation due to April 2022 performance evaluation.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, Kevin?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Okay, this transfer is coming, this is under the Worcester County Regional Vocational Department. The amount is coming from Bay Path, which has a present balance of $3,393. The entire amount is going to the advertising line to cover the existing FY 2022 deficit. So, Mr. Kasnovich, this makes $4,393 for advertising. What are we advertising?
So right now, the account is in a deficit balance of $2,400. We do have to advertise for some additional positions, or we're required to advertise for public notices or anything like that. So it does provide a little cushion to get us through June 30th.
Okay. And we've already paid Bay Path everything that they...
We actually got a reduction in the assessment due to a reduction in transportation costs as a result of final state numbers.
Okay.
And I think there was a distribution of a portion of free cash.
Okay, thank you. So we have do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Kevin?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes.
Madam Chair, I was going to ask a quick question. So, with something like Bay Path, where it's a contractual commitment, every once in a while you might see a decrease, but you'd never see an increase.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Okay. We have two more transfers. The first one is coming from the reserve account. Amount requested is $35,000, and that's going to the gas, oil, and diesel line, which has a present balance of $2,041.70. And so, Mr. Kazanovich, how long do you expect this to, to get us through?
This meets our current invoice, so I can tell you, it wasn't too long ago, we were averaging about $15,000 to $17,000 per month, general services, monthly expense for motor vehicle fuel. Today, we're paying $32,000. So when I talked about the craziness of the economics, this is one area that really concerns me. Given that, it's about let's call it a $15,000 increase. If these prices continue the way they are, our motor vehicle fuel account is going to be short by about $175,000 going into next year. We didn't increase it by 25 at a time when the gas prices were $3.25 a gallon. We put together the budget.
Right. You were planning when they hadn't busted out of the gate, right?
And then the prices just exploded, and right now diesel is over $6 a gallon for our heavy equipment vehicles, and regular fuel is $4.75 a gallon.
Well, it's almost $5.
Right.
Some places it's almost $5.
So I don't know what to expect. It's you know, it certainly makes things difficult and challenging because we have limited resources. That's why we try to beef up our reserve account to, you know, to deal with situations such as this. So I think I would make it a priority, even for the fall town meeting, that we realign some of those accounts and we pad our reserve account to provide for some additional funds for all of these uncertainties.
Okay, that makes sense. Now this account is all the town vehicles, all their gas, oil, and diesel comes out of this account, right?
For the most part. The only ones that are paying within the department is cemetery because of the perpetual care offset, and council on aging because we get a reimbursement from from Worcester Regional Transportation. In school departments are dealing, they budget their own.
Their own, yeah.
And I'm hearing from Cecilia that even electricity costs are going through the roof. We just entered into an agreement. Our contract expired in May, this May, at the end of May. We're paying 9.8 cents per kilowatt hour. For the next 5 months, we'll be paying 17.8 cents per kilowatt hour.
That's why the 5-year contract's going to be really important.
Right. So we're going to try to get pricing between now and November for a long term.
Yep.
And hopefully we can blend and extend what we currently have right now. So even that is alarming. Those it's almost doubled in cost.
Yeah. So you said that this transfer meets our current invoice. Will we have another invoice?
So we're going to look at June's just to see if there's a portion of June that spills over into July. I really don't want to defer that until July because it's just going to make 23 more painful.
Yeah.
If we can absorb it in this fiscal year, we'll ask for another transfer in June. That being said, this $35,000 transfer will leave about $131,000 left in the reserve account.
Okay. And where do we start with?
$220,000.
Okay.
After the chair, are we at the point where the alarm needs to be sounded in terms of, you know, restricting unnecessary travel?
We've had that discussion just yesterday with the departments. Yes. No unnecessary driving if they need to be aware of you know, the situation. So we try to minimize that as best we can.
Okay. Any other questions? Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, all in favor. Kevin?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
And chair votes yes. And our last transfer. This is all under the general services line. We're going to take 3 of them here. The first transfer comes from the insurance line, which has a balance of $7,633.16. Amount requested $5,000 to go to office supplies. What's the reason for the transfer, Mr. Kuznovich?
I believe, and I'm just verifying this now, the office supply account is currently in the hole by $2,300.
Okay.
So I think this basically offsets that and provides for some, enough to get us through the end of the fiscal year.
Okay. Any questions?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Kevin?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Okay, the next transfer is coming from the postage line, which has a balance of $6,976.74. Amount requested $3,000 to go to the telephone line. Any questions?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Kevin?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
And chair votes yes. And the third transfer comes from equipment maintenance, which has a balance of $7,299.47. Amount requested $3,562.01, going to the water sewer heating line. Ms. Kuznovich, will that get us through to the end of the year?
I believe it will.
Okay. And when it says oil, is that, oh no, heating, okay, that's just heating oil, right?
These are water bills and sewer bills that we pay,
Okay,
as well as heating our municipal buildings.
okay, thank you. Do I hear a motion?
Well, I have a question. Do we
sure.
bill ourselves?
Well, no, the water district is a separate
Oh,
entity.
I forgot, right. Yeah, well, even though okay, gotcha.
And the sewer department is an enterprise account.
I know, I just,
Motion to approve?
it's just sitting down the street from town hall in the middle of it. I lost sight of that.
Do we have a motion to approve?
Second. Yeah.
Okay, are all in favor? Kevin?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Wow. We got them, we did them all, wow. All right, so, our next, business on the agenda is, to vote to authorize the CFO to verbally approve transfers. Do I hear a motion? Want to read?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to authorize the CFO to verbally approve transfers up to the amount of $250 to close out this current fiscal year.
Second.
Okay, and again, that's just so, just to minimize the need for, many transfers into,
So does that actually, you just sign off on them, Madam Chair, and then he approves them, and then they don't come before committee?
It doesn't come before the committee, and it doesn't come before me. He has the authorization
okay.
just to do it, up to $250 to make those small.
It's more house cleaning,
Yeah.
like a lot of payroll accounts may require a penny or two to make it.
Yeah,
Right, yeah.
yeah. So the motion has been made. Do I hear a second? Thank you. All in favor? Kevin?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. And we have minutes to talk about. The minutes were emailed to us all. Does anyone have any questions or concerns about the minutes?
No.
Okay, so they are accepted as were sent to us. Any other questions? Go ahead, do you have one? All right, I was going to say, Mr. Kuznovich, could you, I know that the ARPA money is starting to be spent, correct? Could you give us a list of what it's being spent on?
Sure,
And
I'll provide that to you, we'll send it out to you.
Yeah, that's fine, and the plans, you know what I mean? Maybe the money's not spent, but where's the plan for it to?
So, and I can tell you that recently as the last meeting, the Board of Selectmen voted the use of $20,000 towards discounting summer camp programs for our kids.
Oh, good.
The numbers are down, we're trying to give it a kickstart post-COVID. it gives me an opportunity to say that town is offering a 20% discount on all fees, whether it be daily or weekly, for those who are participating in our summer camp. So, with no income limitation. So,
Oh, that's-
it's open to all.
That's a good deal.
And I think
Yeah.
that's a good use of ARPA funds, and I think that's what it's designed to do, to help our community.
And it provides employment too for our
Correct.
teenagers
So,
as camp counselors.
you know, our numbers are down, so hopefully this will generate some interest and bolster that.
Yep.
In terms of other uses, there are certain things that have been voted by the board. We'll give you the specifics on that. But some of the other items have been discussed, have not been voted by the board. So
Okay.
I don't want to be premature and say that
Yeah.
these are going to be used under the use of ARPA without the board's vote. I can tell you in generalities, a lot of it has to do with HVAC work. It has to do with sewer construction projects, capital projects in nature. A lot of money has been already voted for the use of AYFS because there's a critical need there over a 3-year period of time, $60,000 for each of the next 3 years. And there's been some other health COVID-related expenditures. Is a generality, a blanket that gives our health department some flexibility in dealing with COVID.
Okay.
Let me talk to the town accountant, we can get your report, and you can see what has been committed out of the total amount of roughly $5.4 million.
Wow, okay. Thank you very much.
Is there any accounting, did they lift that? Did the federal government lift the accounting? Because I know at one time we had spoke that there'd have to probably be some record keeping and that they would contain the amount of areas where they'd spend it to be able to account for it.
So from an administrative and accounting aspect, we asked the board to vote because there is a standard exemption of $10 million
Right, and that's
under the
what
revenue laws.
we're under 10, right?
Right, so as a result of
That's
that,
why I
it's
asked.
less restrictive, so
Right.
the board took that vote. Not that it's, I mean, all of these funds are gonna be audited because it falls under the Single Audit Act, so,
Right.
we
But
gotta,
there is a little bit of flexibility
on the use,
on the use.
yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
good, thank you. One of the requests, could you send us that presentation that you made at town meeting?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Kevin?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. We're adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.